Hello, everybody, and welcome to the ARC Minnesota's Social Security Benefits 101 presentation. My name is Ryan Anderson Pasquale, and I'm a senior advocate here with the ARC Minnesota, and I'm going to be talking with you all today about Social Security benefits and specifically Supplemental Security Income and Social Security Disability Insurance. And before we start, we're also going to talk a little bit about what the ARC Minnesota does. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization that supports people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families. Disabilities may include things such as autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, Fragile X, and there's many other disabilities, some chromosomal abnormalities included. The ARC Minnesota supports people throughout the state of Minnesota. There are many website resources available to anyone at arcminnesota.org, including this webinar. We are affiliated with the ARC National Organization in Washington. Okay, so now we're going to get into our actual presentation and what these learning objectives are. So we're going to do an overview of the ARC Minnesota. We're going to help explain two Social Security disability benefit programs, how they differ, and review how to apply for both of these programs. And again, you can see here it's Supplemental Security Income and Social Security Disability Insurance. Okay, so here the mission of the ARC Minnesota: promote and protect the human rights of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, actively supporting them and their families in a lifetime of full inclusion and participation in their own communities. So a couple of more things about the ARC Minnesota. We were founded by families more than 70 years ago. Today, the ARC operates chapters across the U.S. with one common mission and a platform of policy statements that advocate for human rights and community inclusion. People with disabilities and their families trust the knowledge and experience that advocates here at the ARC for information, assistance, and personal advocacy. People are also develop skills and learn how to access resources to feel empowered as self-advocates. And that's one of our key focuses, is to help empower people to be able to do things for themselves. So our mission is also driven, and our work is driven by these core values that we have. And I'm going to touch base a little bit upon each one of these core values. So we value each person. Few things underneath this topic: every person that has unique strengths and deserves a chance to use them. We welcome each person. We treat each person with fairness and respect. We believe trust is freely given and it's not earned. I think that one kind of hits home for me. Again, we believe trust is freely given and not earned. The next one of our core values is we are connectors. We serve as ambassadors and change the world through our collaboration in the community. We unite people to build relationships, and we generate opportunities. Our work and advocacy is life-changing, and we move communities forward. We believe in and practice teamwork all the time. Our next core value is we are courageous. So a few things that kind of lead this: our work requires that we always speak the truth in order to protect human rights. Our beliefs inspire us to go above and beyond what is accepted. We welcome change as progress and opportunity. Fear of failure does not stop us. We are tenacious and overcome obstacles. The last one of our core values: we are accountable, and a few things that go with that would be integrity, discipline, and quality define the work that we do. We are personally responsible for our goals, actions, and to deliver results. We are resilient and we will stay the course in the face of obstacles and setbacks. We are consistent, active, and engaged contributors in the community. So here's a few ways that we here at the ARC Minnesota can help. We can provide one-on-one intensive support for adults with disabilities and family members covering a wide range of topics. And as you can see here, there's a lot of different topics. Right now, these are our current focus areas. We quite often do many other things, but at this point, these are our focus areas. We continuously research issues, trends, and disability policy to help provide current and accurate information and support to the families we serve. So advocates at the ARC provide free consultations over the phone, via email, in person, on a wide range of topics that are critical to people with disabilities and their families. Our regional offices are located throughout the state of Minnesota, and we also do an Ask the Advocate process online. So this delivers confidential responses to questions submitted online through an easy-to-use form. We also have multiple different advocates that speak different languages, including Hmong, Somali, and Spanish. And as needed for other families, we're able to access interpreters for communication. We support people with disabilities and their families in 3 primary ways. The first one is by providing information and assistance. So we're here to guide people as to the information to support them to make a better life and to connect to the supports that they need to be in the community. We do it through individual advocacy. So we do a lot of one-on-one advocacy with individuals and families. And we also offer many options for planning. So different planning services to help people plan what is a good life for them. We also offer educational and training events and support networking opportunities throughout the year for small and large groups. So there are 3 key things that make the ARC unique in services to people with disabilities. First of all, people trust the knowledge and experiences that advocates here at the ARC Minnesota have. The approach is to empower families and individuals. Again, empowerment is key so that people are able to do it on their own, and then we can help additional individuals. The ARC supports people throughout their lifetime. So from birth all the way through the end of life, in all service systems is how we support people in navigating all areas. And as a part of a national network, the ARC is a person-centered, providing options that reflect an individual's own choices and preferences. So we really heavily rely on the idea that we all have choice. And so how do we get to that point of being able to best make the choices for ourselves in the life that we live? Okay, so now we're going to get into the specific Social Security presentation. So what is the role of the Social Security Administration Office? So a few things here. The United States Social Security Administration is an independent agency of the U.S. federal government that administers Social Security benefits. So there's multiple different Social Security benefits administered under Social Security Administration, and today we're mainly going to provide information on 2 of them and a little bit on the 3rd. So it's a social insurance program consisting of retirement, disability, and survivor benefits. Like I mentioned before, there's a few different choices and options that are available through Social Security Administration. They're related to retirement, disability, and then again, survivor's benefits. So what does disability under Social Security Administration, what does that mean? So a person must have a severe physical or mental impairment that results in these following: the inability to perform a substantial work activity and is expected to result in death, or has lasted or can be expected to last for a continuous period of at least 12 months. So I think some of the key pieces are here is that you're not able to perform the substantial work activities, so you're not able to actually work because of that disabling condition. And that condition is either going to result in eventually death or will last at least 12 months or more. And also, one thing to mention is there can also be a combination of both physical and mental impairments. So there can be also co-occurring. So here we have the disability benefit programs that we're going to speak more in depth to today, SSI and SSDI. Both programs can be confused with each other, but they are very different. Supplemental Security Income, or SSI, is for those with disabilities who have low income and may or may not have worked. There's no work requirements to get SSI. That's one of the key components. There is no work components to get SSI. Social Security Disability Insurance, or SSDI, is for those with a work history who cannot work at the time of employment due to a disability. Rarely do we support people applying for SSDI. Nearly all advocacy we provide is around applying for SSI. That does not mean that we will not support. We think it's a key piece that the community that we serve, people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, also work. So definitely the idea of individuals with disabilities receiving SSDI is definitely possible. The last piece that we put on here is another one of the benefits at Social Security Administration that we're not going to talk too much in depth about, but it is Retired Survivors Disability Insurance, also known as RSDI, is for those with disabilities. And this is why we're relating this one, because it is for people with disabilities. If they are a child of someone who retires or who has passed away, that individual with a disability could be eligible for an RSDI amount as long as their disability occurred before the age of 22. Okay, so anyone, regardless of age, can be eligible for SSI. And one must meet Social Security's definition of disability, meaning you must be able to show medical reports to support your disability. So Social Security Administration goes by a blue book, and this blue book lists all disabilities and requirements. Social Security focuses on functional limitations. Therefore, a diagnosis may not always be enough to access a Social Security disability benefit. One's condition must be expected to last at least a year, and Social Security also looks at resources and any income that one is making. So based on what you see on this slide, it's available to people with limited income and resources, $2,000 for individuals, $3,000 for couples, and those individuals have to be blind. These are some of the individuals that can access SSI. Individuals who are blind at any age, or are disabled at any age, or age 65 and older. So these are the individuals that can access the benefit. So again, one must be under $2,000 in resources, meet income requirements, And if the individual is working, Social Security Administration uses an equation that counts a little less than half of the individual's income. If one is applying for a child, it can be a little more complex when looking at a household income. Generally, if income for the applicant who is an adult is above $1,220, again, I'm going to repeat that, $1,220 for an individual. So this is known as substantial gainful activity right now at this present time. So substantial gainful activity is basically being able to work and support oneself, and that's the number that is determined. So this is considered, again, to be gainfully employed and less likely to be able to access that benefit because it is both income-based and disability-based. However, since Social Security counts less than half of one's income, you could possibly have a gross or pre-tax income of up to $1,500 and still get a benefit from Social Security Administration, specifically SSI, because not all of it is counted as income by Social Security. We recommend using an SSI estimator. There's a website called Disability Benefits 101, and you can also call Social Security office to better understand income eligibility for children and adults. We, at the end, will have a resource slide that will include the Disability Benefits 101 website and a few other things. There's a note that the maximum monthly benefit in 2019, so currently the highest or the maximum monthly benefit is $771 for an individual, and for couples it is $1,157, and I'm going to repeat that. An individual is $771 and couples are $1,157. So what is the purpose of the SSI benefit? So the purpose is to help aged, blind, and disabled people who have little income and few resources to support themselves. It provides financial assistance to meet basic needs such as housing, food, medical and dental expenses, and personal care items or clothing. You can receive SSI if you have not worked and paid into Social Security. SSI is a federal income supplement program funded by the general tax revenues, not Social Security taxes. Again, Supplemental Security Income provides monthly payments for people with low income who have few resources. These payments are for people who are age 65 or older, blind, or are disabled. SSI is a federally funded program and pays the same dollar amount to all participants in the nation. Based on changes in the Consumer Price Index each year, cost of living adjustments change each January. So if one is living in their own home or apartment, you can use SSI money for housing and utility expenses. You can also use it to pay for one's portion of expenses of sharing a home or an apartment if with another individual, or if you live with multiple roommates. If you are homeless, you can receive your full SSI payment and may be eligible for subsidized housing. Anyone living in a public shelter will be paid SSI money for 6 months out of every 9 months. When one receives SSI, your state or county can also provide monthly food stamp benefits for food purchases. Although most people who receive SSI will be eligible for food stamps, each state is different. Also known as Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, these benefits are administered at the state level and states differ regarding the criteria for qualifying. This is a benefit that provides a monthly supplement for purchasing food, and SSI can also is used to purchase food. SSI can also be used for medical and dental expenses. When you qualify for SSI, you will receive additional help. Medicaid pays for doctor and hospital bills, as well as prescription drug coverage. Your state may also pay for Medicare for additional benefits. One must receive SSI for 24 months to be eligible for Medicare benefits. You may use SSI benefits for any medical or dental expenses that are not covered specifically by Medicaid or Medicare. And the last one of these components, you can also purchase personal care items such as clothing, toiletries, phone, transportation, recreation, etc. Those items through SSI benefits. So now we're going to talk a bit about living arrangements and receiving SSI benefits. So if you live in your own place and pay your own food and shelter costs, regardless of whether you own or rent, you may get up to the maximum social or supplemental security income amount payable in the state. Currently, that is $771. You can also get up to the maximum if you live in someone else's household, as long as you pay for food and shelter costs. If you live in someone else's household and don't pay for food, and you don't pay for shelter costs, or pay only part of your food and shelter costs, your SSI benefits may be reduced by up to 1/3 of the SSI federal benefit rate. This quite often happens when one is living at home with a parent or with a family member. If the person does plan to live with parents or family members, one could indicate during the application process, in person or over the telephone, and let them know some of the food and shelter costs will be covered, and it is very important to keep your receipts. So children and Social Security or Supplemental Security Application process. So here are the steps to take when completing a child SSI application process. First, we recommend reviewing, we have an ARC guide to SSI, which can be found at arcminnesota.org. This ARC guide takes a complex system such as SSI or some of the other Social Security benefits and breaks it down in plain language to help people understand how to access and understand what it's for. Also, the next piece that's going to happen is reviewing one's income and resource limits. There is income and resource limits for the program, so if you don't meet those, there is no ability to access it. Next thing is calling your local Social Security office to clarify income and resource guidelines to verify before you start applying that you actually will possibly qualify. Filling out the online Children's Disability Report. There is a link to that in the ARC guide to SSI. The next piece will be contacting the Social Security Administration office to set up an in-person appointment to complete the application. There is actually the ability to also do a over-the-phone appointment. We just always think it's best to do an in-person appointment in order to establish that personal connection and show Social Security Administration office who the individual is. And for your local Social Security office phone number, you can feel free to call us here at the ARC if you have a need for that information. So the next piece is the adult application for SSI. So the process is quite similar to the children's. It's just the difference is the only income counted is individual's income. So again, the first piece is going to be to review the ARC guide to SSI, look at one's income and resource limits, and Social Security's Blue Book. Again, this book lists in detail all of the different types of disabilities and requirements, and is also linked to in the ARC guide to SSI. Next step is call the local Social Security office to set up, again, we recommend an in-person appointment, and you can also do it over the phone. Complete the Adult Disability and Function Report worksheets before the meeting that you're going to have, and those documents are linked to the ARC guide to SSI. Now we're going to talk a bit about SSDI and its eligibility requirements. SSDI provides benefits to disabled or blind persons who are insured by workers' contributions to the Social Security Trust Fund. So these contributions are based on one's earnings or those of a spouse or a parent. And this is as required by the Federal Insurance Contributions Act, also known as FICA. When we look at our paychecks, FICA takes money out of that paycheck, and that's what contributes to this. Title II of Social Security Act authorizes SSDI benefits. Your dependents may also be eligible for benefits from your earnings record. So the purpose of SSDI is to provide income supplements to people who are physically restricted in their ability to be employed because of a notable disability. Typically, it is a physical disability. SSDI can be supplied on either a temporary or a permanent basis, usually directly correlated to whether the person's disability is temporary or permanent. Some disabilities you can kind of work through and get support to better oneself and get back to work. People frequently confuse Social Security disability insurance and supplemental security income that we just talked about. Unlike SSI, SSDI does not depend on the income of the disabled individual receiving it. So income really does not matter. It's, again, based on other factors. Children can also access a parent's SSDI benefits up until the age of 18, and after that, the child would need to be certified disabled by Social Security Administration in order to continue receiving a parental SSDI benefit. Those children that could also receive SSI at the same time as adults. So what is the application process for SSDI? This process is the same as applying for SSI. The difference is that one's work history is being looked at to determine SSDI eligibility. Again, with SSI, that doesn't need to have any work history and it's not correlated to it. SSDI, it is correlated to one's work history. Looking at Social Security Administration's website and printing the Adult Disability Worksheet and Functional Report will be the applications to fill out for applying for this. We recommend making an in-person appointment at Social Security Administration. Again, you can also do an in-phone interview, and if you're able to physically go to the office, we recommend taking documents to share at the appointment that are related to the disabling condition. Following the ARC guide to SSI will actually help in applying for SSDI. So I'd say with just about all the work that we do, we always have tips and recommendations in the process of applying. And here are some of those for SSI and SSDI. We recommend gathering all paperwork in advance, such as the applicant's date of birth, birth certificate, Social Security card, proof of income, any evaluations or assessments that are related to the individual's disability. We highly recommend contacting or making a list of contacts such as doctors, clinics, paid providers, and how often the individual with a disability or the applicant sees them. Another recommendation is notifying providers. So what this means is, so if somebody that's applying is going to school, notifying their teachers. If they receive services such as personal care assistance services, maybe letting the providers of those services know, and also county staff. And the reason why is those individuals who are typically listed on the disability worksheet that is submitted to Social Security in order to determine the disability or the disabling condition. So those people may receive a phone call from Social Security Administration staff in order to ask questions about the individual's disability. Also, getting name and contact information of all Social Security representatives you speak to. We recommend basically creating a log as you communicate with their office, just so that way you can keep a record of the communication one's had. So now a little bit about what to expect after one submits their SSI application. So be aware that it may take a while. Social Security will look at all of the information one sends and call or confirm with all the contacts you listed. Like I mentioned earlier, they follow up with all the providers, whether it's a school, a medical provider, to get the information related to the disabling condition. If approved, one will get an award letter, which states the determination and the benefit amount, or again, benefit amount meaning the dollar amount one is eligible for. One additional piece that we want to talk about here when it comes to eligibility and determinations, one is also eligible for Medicaid, also known as medical assistance here in our state, in Minnesota, once they're eligible for a Social Security disability benefit. One can now apply for these medical assistance or Medicaid based on being certified disabled. It is a separate application process to apply for that health care, so you do have to do another application, and if you have questions, we here at our office can help with that too. Representative payee, and what does this mean? So representative payees can be family members, friends, professionals. It is common for parents to become representative payees. However, one can also manage their own funds as they are able. One can get a guide to individual rep payees at Social Security Administration if you want more details. A representative payee's main responsibilities are as follows: to use the funds to pay for current and foreseeable needs of the beneficiary, save any funds not needed to meet the current needs of that individual. And it's very important to note, keep an accurate record of how you used the beneficiary's money. Please follow the guidelines to make sure you understand how to set up a bank account or have questions. You can also contact your Social Security office as you have specific questions related to it. In addition, we also, as an agency, strongly believe in maximizing the ability of individuals. There may be alternatives to providing financial management support that are not just being a representative payee. For example, there is a supported decision-making agreement that can be established, and a supported decision-making agreement is a document listing what decisions a person may want help making. It names people one can trust within their personal network. While this agreement is casual contract and not legally binding, it is a way to have a discussion about what kind of help one wants or actually needs. Some other examples can be having a power of attorney to support someone with financial decisions outside of Social Security benefits, or being on someone's bank account as a joint owner. So those are some other options to support individuals in their money management. So if you get denied, it's going to be okay. Social Security uses a very complex process to review one's application and supporting documents. What you can do is appeal, do not reapply. The appeals process involves 4 different levels. The first one is reconsideration. This is the first level of the appeals process and consists of an appeal form with the ability to submit additional supporting documents you may have forgotten, or new information like a new evaluation, and so on. This document can be mailed, dropped off, or submitted online. A link to this form is provided in the ARC guide to SSI. Hearing by an administrative law judge is going to be the next step in an appeal process. If you're denied a second time, you may ask for a hearing in front of an administrative law judge who had no part in the original decision. The next step in appeals is going to be the appeals counsel. If you disagree with the hearing decision, you may ask for a review from the appeals counsel. They will review the decision again and make the decision on their own, and they will contact you via mail. The next step is going to federal court. If you disagree with the appeals counsel, one may file a lawsuit in federal court. The ARC Minnesota has put together a list of legal support services that may be helpful if you appeal beyond the reconsideration phase. Call us at the ARC Minnesota for more information. Some people who are on Social Security might be overpaid if income information is not submitted in a timely or correct manner. If you get an overpayment notice, you have around 60 days to appeal using what's called a waiver of overpayment form. Please contact the ARC Minnesota for additional information on appealing in these instances, as we can talk through some of those related to a waiver of overpayment form. So now we're getting to our reference page. Here we have SOAR, and this is SSI SSDI Outreach, Access, and Recovery. That's what SOAR stands for. So SOAR can help one apply for Social Security disability benefits if you're homeless or at risk of being homeless and have a disability expected to last a year or more. So we highly recommend, if somebody has or is looking to apply, there are SOAR partners throughout the state of Minnesota. And if you look at the link that we've provided here, you can go onto the Department of Human Services website and look per county in the state of Minnesota, which are the SOAR providers that will help in understanding and applying for SSI benefits. The next reference we have here is Disability Benefits 101. There's many benefits videos in this website. There's also premium estimators, like we mentioned earlier. There's an estimator for medical assistance. There's an SSI information, and then there's also a live chat with an expert feature. So there's many different supports that DB 101, Disability Benefits 101, can help and understand. And then lastly, here we have a link to our ARC guide. to SSI SSDI. And again, an ARC guide is something we've established here at the ARC Minnesota that helps take a complicated system and simplifies it and makes it more plain language. And with all that, I just want to thank you for listening into this video, and hopefully it was helpful to you. If you need more information about this or any other piece around what we can help in information and assistance, feel free to visit our website at arcminnesota.org. Contact us via phone. Thank you again for listening, and have a wonderful day.